To understand this topic, that how we can keep our Krishna consciousness always very active and fresh and dynamic in our lives, we will see an instance of a person who kept his Krishna consciousness very active and alive for a long duration of life. That is Swayambhu Manu. So yesterday, or 2-3 days back on Varna Dwadashi, we were discussing about Swayambhu Manu, right? That how he was, although he had great desire to actually fully practice Krishna consciousness and just, focus on Krishna, but because it was Brahmaji's desire to, to create and to be a king and all these things, so all that he did. Now let us see Swayambhu Manu how he retired also. This is chapter 3rd canto, 22nd chapter, text 34 we will study. So he retired also, and how he all throughout when he was a king also he remained very very Krishna conscious. So let us see that. So 3.22.34. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Together,
Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 22nd chapter, text 34. Nishnatam yoga mayasu
Nishnatam yoga mayasu
munim swayambhuvam manu
Munim Swayambhuvam Manu
yad abhramshitam bhoga
Yad Abram Shaitum Bhoga
na shekur bhagavat param.
Nashekur Bhagavat Param.
Nishnatam,
Nishnatam
absorbed.
Absorbed.
Yoga mayasu,
Yoga Mayasu
in temporary enjoyment.
Temporary enjoyment.
Munim,
Munim
who was equal to a saint.
who is equal to a saint.
Swambhuvam,
Swayambhuva
Swayambhuva,
Swayambhuva
Manu, Yat, from which Abhramshayitum,
Abrahmasaitam
to cause to deviate,
cause deviate.
Bhoga,
Bhoga
material enjoyments,
material enjoyment.
na, not, Sheku, were able, Bhagavat Param,
Bhagavat
who was a
Param.
great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Very devotee of the Supreme Personality.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Thus Swayambhu Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in Krishna conscious atmosphere. Purport. The kingly happiness of material enjoyment generally drags one to the lowest grade of life, namely degradation to animal life because of unrestricted sense enjoyment. But Swayambhuva Manu was considered as good as a saintly sage because the atmosphere created in his kingdom and home was completely Krishna conscious. Haribo. So this is the very important secret, that how one creates his atmosphere in his life more than what kind of duty or instruction has been given to him. So a devotee's responsibility is that whatever be my service, I create atmosphere by which I can be fully Krishna conscious. Okay. The case is similar with the conditioned souls. In general, they have come into this material life for sense gratification. But if they are able to create a Krishna conscious atmosphere as depicted here, or as prescribed in revealed scriptures by temple worship or household deity worship. So there are two options. One option is that either one stay in temple, like in voice life we are staying in voice only. So this is like staying in temple. Or there are householders who either stay near temple, so then they also staying in temple only. Like that for them, they come to the morning program 4:30. You see in Mayapur or Calcutta anywhere, they come to the temple only 4:30 onwards. So staying in temple only. हो गया उनका भी. Or some devotees they may stay far from the temple. Then for them what is their household deity worship? Then the household should be in such a way that the whole house is only become a temple. There's not that he's not staying. That is also staying in temple, right? So in that way, somehow or the other one should be making such atmosphere. Then what happens? Prabhupada is saying further. Then in spite of their material enjoyment, they can make advancement in pure Krishna consciousness without a doubt. Like for example, in our voice, we have so much feast, so much ecstasy. So a lot of, in the sense, that is in one sense material enjoyment. We are enjoying our senses, tongue, and having nice festivals and this, that, But all that enjoyment is in pure Krishna consciousness. It's not like nothing like related to actually material world, because it is only prasadam offered to Krishna, and it's a part of festival and everything. So like that. So there's nothing like anything separate from Krishna consciousness, right? Even though we may have lot of ecstasy, it's not a very dry process which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. At the present moment, modern civilization is too much attached to material way of life or sense adoration. Therefore, Krishna consciousness movement can give the people in general the best opportunity to utilize their human life in the midst of material enjoyment. So that's what we are trying to do. When the whole atmosphere of voice, that kind of Krishna conscious festivals and Mangala, the morning program or evening program or going out for preaching, all this is engagement meant so that, for what purpose? So it gives opportunity so that in midst of material enjoyment, one can be fully Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness does not stop them in the propensity for material enjoyment. We'll say that stop eating. We'll not give you any nice food. We'll give you some carrot once in a day, like Buddhist meditations they give. You're not saying like that. Take nice prasad, dance nicely. Like people in this world, how do they want to celebrate? They sing, they dance, and they eat. Right? Nacho gao khao. That's what is our process. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given exactly the same process. Right? So we don't say that. So Prabhupada is saying here, Krishna consciousness does not stop them in their propensity for material enjoyment, but simply regulates their habit in the life of sense enjoyment. In spite of their enjoying the material advantages, they can be liberated in this way, in this very life, by practicing Krishna consciousness by simple method of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So most important processes that we add in our life fully and powerfully is chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is very, very important. And chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a abhideya, the process. And for abhideya, there is very important thing we should have is sambandha, right? So hence, next verse also we will read, by which we understand that how we can develop a deeper sambandha, which will actually help us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and in that way we can keep all of our practices very, very alive and fresh. Okay. So let us read text 35. Ayatayamastasya san Ayatayamastasya san Yama Swatantrayapana Shanvato Dhyayato Vishnu Kurvato Pruvata Katha. So secret is there in this very verse, very important verse. Ayatayama. Time never lost. Tasya of Manu. Asan var. Yama the hours. Swantara his duration of life. Yapana bringing to an end. Shanvata hearing. Dhyayata contemplating. Vishnu
Vishnu
of Lord Vishnu.
Lord Vishnu
Kurvata
Kurvata
acting.
acting
Bruvata
Bruvata
speaking.
speaking
Katha
Katha
the topics.
topics.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Translation. Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life, consisting of Manvantara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. Haribo. So this is the point. And the next verse describes about, we see here what is said by, what is said here. Swantara, his duration of life. So Srila Prabhupada in the translation is saying his long duration consisting of Manvantara era. So sometimes devotees may have also questioned that Prabhu Manvantara era 71 Devi Yugas का होता है, ये कहीं पर लिखा है क्या? है ना? होना चाहिए ना? तो कहीं तो कोई reference रहेगा तो अच्छा है. The next verse is the reference. You know? So just I'll not explain the next verse, but we can see the next verse. What it says: Sa evam swantaram ninne yuganam ek saptatim. So ek saptatim means 71, and yuganam means the cycles of 4 ages. Okay, so it's in the next verse it is explained that so he passed his time. How much time? 71 into 43 lakh years. Okay. 71 into 43 lakh years he passed doing what? That. So I told you that figure so that we understand what is being told in this verse. So in this verse it is explained, and Prabhupada will explain the purport, so we'll read the purport and understand it more deeply. That he spent all this time not wasting even one moment, without what? Hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. So this is a very important. So what we are hearing, what we are speaking, and what we are contemplating, right? So one very important thing is that we need to also work on what we think, right? So many times our Krishna conscious lifestyle and sadhana very much helps us to very much helps us to make sure that at least externally from activities perspective we are very regulated, right? The sadhana card is very, very good. But then that should also help us that we bring the whole Krishna consciousness right into our thoughts also. That means what we think and contemplate in our lives. Because that will what will help us to remain very fresh and alive in Krishna consciousness. Okay? Because sometimes the mind, if it is absorbed in some wrong thoughts, that drags one's consciousness down. And then although one may be doing activities, one is absorbed in a wrong way. Right? So hence the activities pull the mind to Krishna. Right? That's why activities are very, very important. Right? But then there is an effort from our side to keep the mind on Krishna, and that activity is called as contemplate. So here the verse says Shanvato Dhyayato. Okay, Vishnu. And Srila Prabhupada Dhyayato in word to word meaning says contemplating, but in translation Prabhupada writes one more thing. What is that? Contemplating and writing down. So this is very, very interesting. Okay, right? Because this really helps. That when we not just we hear, we make notes. Like right now, many of you are making notes. So that is why Shravanam we make notes. That is very nice. But not only that, but after we do Shravanam, there is a contemplation. And contemplation generally, if suppose आपको बोला जाए तो contemplate करो, चलो contemplate करते हैं. I'm contemplating. It's very tough. You just sit down and just contemplate. Because the mind is not controlled. You start contemplating on maybe Krishna Katha, you may start contemplating on ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसा संघर्षेषु बजायते संघात से जायते अरे ये क्या हो गया कहाँ चला गया so that's why it's very tough to contemplate for a conditioned soul when the mind is already filled with so much dirt. So that's why writing down is a very powerful method. How many of you have this experience that you write down and it really helps you. Anyone? Okay. Not everyone. Shivam Prabhu and Ankit Prabhu don't have such experience of writing. You have tried?
While hearing and written, not after.
Okay, you're not tried. Okay. So try. Okay. Now this is the homework. And those who have experience, try more. Okay. So this writing down is a very nice thing. Okay. It really helps you to focus because obviously in the modern lifestyle has stopped using the pen and paper. They're using laptops, but no problem. In case you can use pen and paper, fine. If you feel that no problem, I'm conditioned to use my laptop only, no problem. Even writing down in laptop is nice. Just only thing is that point of time, don't use Chat GPT to ask what to write down. What should I contemplate today? Don't ask this type of things. You just open a blank, word document. अभी भी word document ही use करते हैं आप लोग. Open a blank word document. OneNote, yeah, or open a OneNote. In OneNote, you can make one of the section called as contemplations. Okay, and there in that contemplation, you just put the date and just write your contemplation. Just write down. It's very nice. So because that time you contact very closely with your real self. Yes.
So, what are you talking about contemplation? Like by yourself, you are thinking, or what
No,
I
no,
read, what I
No. Dhyayato comes after Shranvato. Right? You see the sequence. Shranvato. The sequence देखिए. Shranvato, Dhyayato, Vishnu, Kurvato, Dhruvata Katha. So step one is Shravan. Step two is Dhyayato, which also includes writing down. Step three is Dhruvato. Dhruvato means बोलना. And yeah, Kurvato also acting. That is one should apply it and also katha and speak. Okay. So before we speak, there should be some contemplation. If contemplation is there, then we can speak very properly. Right? So before we come in assembly of devotees and discuss what we heard and what we read, if there is a contemplation which you have written down also, writing down why it's good because it helps. But I can say that not 100% every devotee may be able to do writing down very easily. So for some devotees it may be very natural. Right? For some devotees have, because it is all different psychophysical nature is there, everyone has. So for some people writing down is just a natural thing. How many of you are like that? कि आपको लिखना बहुत पसंद है. सचिन प्रभु आपको लिखना अच्छा ही लगता है कि कुछ लिखते रहने से बहुत अच्छे से हो सकता है. So some of you it may not be natural, but I would say even if it is not natural, do it. Okay, and start it. Okay, that is, you spend maybe let's say 5 minutes time, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometime after you have read, heard. Don't just start writing randomly. Like even writing glorification of devotees, just like our Menon Prabhu, he writes, long glorification of devotees, like that. So this helps you to connect. When you start writing, it helps you to connect with yourself and what you have been thinking, right? And sometimes, so that is very good. So sometimes we should spend that time. That helps us to really absorb Krishna consciousness, and that keeps our Krishna consciousness fresh. Sometimes when we don't actually connect with our own selves, and we are just connecting with our mind, actually. Okay? So I am not the mind. Okay, to remember that. Right? So I am different from the mind. So that's why you have to just for some time we have to stay away from the mind. So that writing is a time, chanting is a time. Actually, entire sadhana bhakti is a time to stay away from the mind. And when we are with the mind all throughout the day, suppose during japa also you are sitting with the mind only. Say Hare Krishna, but you're talking with the mind. And the whole day, if you are just sitting with the mind and talking with mind, then your whole day will be very dry because mind is very dirty. It's a dirty fellow. It's not a very good person. So that's why your whole day will be like very disturbed and everything. But you spend some time with Krishna. And contemplating by writing is a very wonderful way.
The contemplation time should be night, like before sleeping. I should.
No, that's not necessary. That is also very nice. And that's also good. But it should not be like it has to be night time only. But if if you feel that you can do it night time, that's good. Whatever time.
But
Best time is what? Whenever you are doing hearing, just after that, just wait. Before like hearing, अभी मैं lecture hearing कर रहा या book reading किया, just before you get up from that, just tell yourself, okay, let me just give 5 minutes more. And if you want to add that 5 minutes to your book reading and lecture reading, it's perfectly all right. Why? Because actually you are very deeply meditating into it. Okay, right? So it's perfectly all right. So hence this is a very important activity, where you actually contemplate deeply. Okay, that's the best time because you can really meditate and contemplate on the right thing. As you're, meditating in the night, what you'll meditate and what you'll write. Maybe it may not be very serious Krishna conscious things, right? It may be just something here and there, some sidetrack things. Okay? But if you hear and then you immediately write, then what you are doing actually in your contemplation, you are meditating on the points which you heard, and also you are developing relationship with the speaker. One of the way of contemplation, which personally I love to do, is I write. For example, if I hear from my spiritual master, then I write my contemplation as a letter to spiritual master. Right? It's like that. I write. Dear Guru Dev, thank you today for telling me this point. And like that, something. So I write like a letter. So then it becomes, and I'm actually talking to him. I'm actually telling that this is what I heard from you, and this is what I felt about it, and this is what I want to apply, and please give me spiritual strength so that I can follow your teachings, and like that. So it becomes more of a prayer and a personal talk. So it becomes a very more deep. So to develop relation, sambandha, that's what I am trying to say. So we need to develop that sambandha with Krishna, with Guru, with Prabhupada, like that. When we read Prabhupada books, similarly we can write to Prabhupada, Dear Srila Prabhupada, thank you today for telling me about so and so thing I read in your book. I'm so grateful that you are, every time I open your books, you are enlightening me. Like that, you can write to Prabhupada, and then you can. So in that way, you are connecting to Prabhupada, inside. This is very important. So Bhakti Tirth Maharaj used to do that. Every day before sleeping, he would write a letter to Srila Prabhupada giving his whole report. So write. This writing is very good. Those who have natural habit, very nice. Those who don't have natural habit, do little bit. This will help you to little bit internalize. Okay. And read the purport, important purport. Very, very important purport. This purport is the real thing what I wanted to share. Okay. Now I'm beginning the class. Okay. This is the preparation. Now this purport is the class actually. Just hear this purport, that's good enough. Purport. As freshly prepared food is very tasteful, but if kept for 3 or 4 hours, becomes stale and tasteless. So the experience of material enjoyment can endure as long as life is fresh. But at the fag end of life, everything becomes tasteless and everything appears to be vain and painful. Understand? So material enjoyment is what issue hai? When you are young, you can enjoy. When you become old, then it's very painful. Then enjoyment starts looking so painful. Nothing like that. So that means material enjoyment has this issue. Let's see now further. The life of Emperor Swayambhu Manu, however, was not tasteless. Devotees, Swayambhu Manu जैसे महान भक्तों का life ऐसा नहीं होता. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. Rivo. So devotee means, as the number of years grows in devotional service, means he should become more fresh, more enthusiastic, more joyful. Not that oh, first year jump कर रहा है, अच्छे से jump करो. Second year jump करेगा, third year में third year आ गया, fourth year आ गया. अभी थोड़ा ये सब बच्चे लोग जंप करते हैं, हम थोड़ा ना करते हैं. तो उल्टा होना चाहिए. What should be there? The first year one is jumping this much, second year should jump this much, third year this much, fourth year, and after that one should be literally going back to God. Should be jumping so high, it's always in Krishna consciousness. Physically one can jump with whatever limit his body has, but his enthusiasm should always be very high. The energy level should be high. Right? Okay, so that is the point. So enthusiasm increases for whom? Because of why it it remained always fresh because of his continued Krishna consciousness. Please hear. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. It is said that the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, but its business is to reduce the duration of everyone's life. But the sunrise and sunset cannot diminish the life of one who engages in Krishna consciousness. Hare Bol. So sunrise, sunset से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता devotee को. Yes, day before yesterday we were hearing also about Nityanand Prabhu and Madhavan, they're just discussing and they don't understand sunrise and what's happening. So devotee is not, for him, this is not diminishing his life. Rather he is coming more and more to Krishna consciousness. That means he is coming more and more to soul level. Right? And soul is always energetic, enthusiastic, dynamic, right? Never dull. Whereas the body is dull. The body keeps becoming dull. So more one is material consciousness, more he becomes dull. Okay. Swayambhu Manu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about and meditating upon Lord Vishnu. And same thing we can see with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's age was 80. And Prabhupada, you can see Prabhupada's videos, Prabhupada is jumping and dancing, at the age of 80, obviously 75, 72, but even at 80, he left this world at the age of 80. 82. So even that, just before leaving also, a year before leaving also, Prabhupada was jumping and dancing and giving lectures and when he would walk also, his young disciples were 20, 22 years old, they were all running behind. They were not able to catch Prabhupada. So Prabhupada had such high energy, such high Krishna conscious energy. So, because of continued Krishna consciousness. Okay? So Krishna consciousness, if some person is Krishna conscious, he will never become, life doesn't become stale. So Sambhu's life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about and meditating upon Lord Vishnu. Why? Because he always chanting and meditated on Lord Vishnu. So dhyayato, shrinvato dhyayato Vishnu kurvato bruvata katha. Okay? So this is the whole secret. He was the greatest yogi because he never wasted his time. Revo. That is another important thing. Nowadays in the modern time situation, time wasting mechanisms have increased. Right? Previously time wasting mechanisms were less. But now it is increased. So we should know that if at all we become dull in Krishna consciousness, that is only because of these things. When you waste time in some things which is not related to Krishna, then immediately it makes you dull. Because you come in touch with matter. Matter is dull. Spirit is dynamic. Okay. So he was the greatest yogi because he never wasted his time. It is specially mentioned here, Vishnu kurvato bruvato katha. When he talked only of Krishna and Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. When he heard something, it was about Krishna. When he meditated, it was upon Krishna and his activities. Revo. Right? Clear? So these things we have to do. We have to hear, we have to talk, we have to think. Right? Keep thinking. कुछ ना कुछ ध्यान करते रहना होता है. हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ ध्यान करते हैं. And what we are doing ध्यान, that will determine how much we are fresh. So if you are doing always dhyan on Krishna, we are always doing, speaking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, then enthusiasm will be very high, right? And energy will be high. We will always feel fresh. So कितने समय के लिए किया? अभी next paragraph Prabhupada saying. It is stated that his life was very long, 71 yugas. One yuga is completed in 43,20,000 years. 71 of such yugas is the duration of the life of Manu, and 14 such Manus come and go in one day of Brahma. For the entire duration of his life, that is 43,20,000 multiplied by 71 years. Papa is writing the proper clear calculation. You should remember कितना समय? 43,20,000 into 71 years. कितना हो गया? Okay. जितना भी है. So it's many crores, several. कितना? 30 crores years. Manu engaged in Krishna consciousness by chanting hearing, talking about, and meditating upon Krishna. Just imagine. 30 crore years, what he did? He just did these things. Chanting, hearing, talking about, and meditating on Krishna. Therefore, his life was not wasted, nor did it become stale. So when we are always thinking of Krishna, Krishna is very dynamic and is a spirit. Spirit is very dynamic. Krishna is the origin of all spiritual energy. So that's why when we are meditating like that, then we will be, our life will never become stale.
That thinking should be forceful because by default thinking is of sense.
Yes. Yes.
So that should be, again it should be forceful. Krishna Gavana also as we discussed yesterday.
Yes. So forceful, see, one thing is that forceful is very good. It's nice, but sometimes you'll find when you put too much force, the mind starts retaliating and wants to go more in the negative direction. So when there is too much of resistance from the mind, instead of forcing mind, you can also pray to the mind. Okay, right? Just like we said, Bhaja Hore Mana Shri Nandana. We can preach to the mind. Just like mind, you can also treat like a first year boy. And when you meet with a first year boy, if you too much force him, he will next time not pick up your call, or as soon as he'll come to know that Sachin Bhaiya has come and run away from another gate. I don't know MTechs do that, but BTech surely do that. MTechs may write on the face message, not interested. Chale jao yahan se, bhag jao. MTechs may be too bold to speak like that. BTechs may be a little shy to speak, so they run away from behind the door. So the point what I'm saying that so in a similar way, mind is also like that. So sometimes, so just like when to first year when you preach, you always try to help them to understand preaching. So we should preach to the mind. Okay. So we can explain the mind. That's why this writing is also like a preaching to mind. You can write to mind also. Oh my dear mind, please chant the holy names of Krishna. That is also nice. That is also good contemplation. You can speak to mind. Oh my dear mind, you have been engaged in so many useless activities and you have wasted your life. Now please take up chanting of the holy names. So many acharyas have written such songs to the mind. Mana Siksha is exactly that. Raghunath Goswami wrote Mana Siksha. What is that? He's saying like that. Oh my dear Anta Karan, I catch your lotus feet. I beg to you. Please, please, please become attached to Guru, to the holy Dham, to Vrindavan, to holy name, to the Gayatri mantra, and to the deities. Like that, he's just saying, please, please, please become attached. Like that. This is the first verse of Mana Siksha. So like that, you can pray to the mind. You can write this also. This is also nice contemplation. Which we can write. Okay.
So in last verse you were telling that despite of enjoying material happiness in Krishna conscious atmosphere, he was always Krishna conscious. So bro, in wise life means I want to ask a practical question that you are telling that we are enjoying feasts, chanting, dancing. But bro, means while on honoring prasadam, we don't have such consciousness. Like previously you were telling that we should have consciousness, but I don't have such consciousness. So is it possible for such person to become pure in due course of time?
Yeah, due course of time, because we are taking prasad now. And second, see, two things is there. One thing is that because prasad is there, surely we are saved. We are not dragged down. As soon as you leave prasad and do the same thing, immediately everything will be finished. Right? Because it is prasad, we are saved. Okay, that we should understand. Now, for further, what we should do, we should ensure that we increase Krishna consciousness. Right? Okay, so that is the next thing. That's why during prasad, just like discussing some katha, Krishna Katha, like we take the mic and sometimes we read from Chetan Bhagavad, or we are, Prabhu was planning to play lecture, so it's going on. Play lecture. So like that we can increase Krishna Katha. We can see that how we can do that. Right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be discussing always Krishna Katha while the prasadana is going on. There is so much discussion going on. I personally honored prasad once with Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and he was there and only two devotees were there, myself and Bhagwan Bro. I went for a meeting of some our temple master plan architecture. So when we sat, as soon as we sat for prasad, immediately Bhakti Charu spontaneously started discussing about Prabhupada pastime. I was feeling so fortunate and blessed. My God, such an intimate associate of Prabhupada, sitting so close. And speaking about Prabhupada, what an amazing function. So like that. So you'll find that when you come together, take prasad, and there was a big feast, biggest feast ever I ate in my life, and it was more than 30 plus items, and everything little. But it was such a sublime feast that although I ate so much, I felt, completely not at all heavy. I didn't feel that I ate so much. It was very sublime. Anyways, point what I'm saying is that you have to keep increasing. Okay. So, so further questions and discussions we can take later. I just want to say few things in next 1 minute. 1 minute is remaining. First thing is that I request all devotees so that our Krishna will remain always fresh and dynamic. At this point of time, we have started a study marathon almost 12 days back, 12, 13 days back. हो गया ना ऑलमोस्ट 22nd को स्टार्ट किया था study marathon is going on for your kind information in case you know. So entire spring fest was a study fest for you. The first year came, that's wonderful. If they didn't came, no problem. It was supposed to be that all of you are supposed to study. So I hope you studied, and I hope you are studying now. And because of Amya Prabhu is currently in a different situation, so that's why our Rishabh Prabhu will take care of the study count. You told him? Okay, I didn't told him. But now we are telling you. So please start putting every Monday. You can put the study count week wise. Just Amya Prabhu kar dete na. Put the week wise the study count and what is the run rate required. I don't know. Study rate. I don't know. So required current run rate and the required run rate ना आता है ना ऐसा. Okay, so ऐसे आप score डाल देना so that everyone knows that now I have to improve my studies. So focus on good studies. And Sachin was going to blow the console because we have made that. Okay. Just give me 30 seconds. And also we request you that this is also very high preaching time going on. So please do wonderful preaching and spend time with boys and make sure that we help them to register. And also work on improving japa. Cultivate someone, do this contemplation and absorption so that you yourself become strong and then you go out and preach, right? And important thing is this, and sadhana card I also saw last time many devotees got 90%, right? Revo. And many are getting good marks, so we want to give awards, so please work on that. We want to give every week, whoever is scoring 80 plus, we want to give them special prizes. So we should keep doing that. So please keep filling sadhana card and make sure that you all get above 80 at least. And many of you are getting 90. That is really very wonderful. Thank you very much. And in that way, actually, we can always remain fresh. We keep working. We have to keep working. We have to keep working on improving and improving. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.